Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We're trying to get, everyone is enjoying themselves so much in the building. It's hard to remember at 10:30 we actually get started. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in Tampa Bay. Derek is going to start us off with a beautiful song that will remind you of who you are. You are sacred love.
Thank you so much. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. Let me hear you say it. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. Say, I am sacred love. I am sacred love, sacred love. Yes, it's all that I am. I am sacred love, sacred love. It's all that I am. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy way, such a holy way. You are blessed peace, blessed peace is all that you are. Let me hear you. You are loving. You are blessed peace, blessed peace is all that you are. I am blessed peace, blessed peace, it's all that I am. I am blessed peace, blessed peace, it's all that I am. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy way, such a holy way. You are deepest joy, deepest joy is all that you are. You are deepest joy is all that you are. I am deepest joy, deepest joy is all that I am. I am deepest joy, deepest joy, it's all that I am. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy way, such a holy way. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you sacred love, sacred love. It's all that I am.
What a lovely reminder that we are all love and peace and joy, and that is our truest identity. It certainly marries with our conversation this morning in Sacred Cup, doesn't it? That this is who we really are. I want to welcome all of you here in the room this morning, and I also want to welcome those watching on YouTube now or watching on YouTube later. We're glad that you are a part of our community even when you can't be in the room. We're glad that there are people out there tuning in to Tampa Bay. Can you believe it? They really do. They are all over. Sometimes our members move away and they just can't stand it. They still have to connect. And then some of us are traveling, but there are always people watching online, so we welcome you. If you are a first-time visitor, welcome to the service, and we're welcoming you to the center. And know that you are welcome here always. If you need help, there are people with lanyards on that are ambassadors for the center who can help answer your questions and guide you to what you might need. So we're continuing our theme of grand rising, meaning that instead of a good morning, we want you to have a grand rising. And that's our theme all year long, and we're going to be teaching lessons and going on journeys together that help us have those grand risings every day. And today, in honor of Martin Luther King Day tomorrow, we are going to pause and honor Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we have a new affirmation this morning, and all of our lessons will be about him in some way. So our affirmation today is this: on this new day, I believe anything is possible. Let's know that together. On this new day, I believe anything is possible. So that is a beautiful reminder that we are powerful beyond our wildest imaginations, and we're going to be talking about that this morning. So don't forget, one little tiny announcement: if you are able to stay after the service, this year we are doing a Q&A, a little question and answer after the service on most Sundays, and I will stay after service today. So jot down anything you might want to talk about, or you hear in the service that you might want to stay and chat about after the service. Our practitioner of the day is also our announcement guru. Randy Sutherland will be doing a reading and a prayer, and Derek is back as our musician. So we're thrilled to have Derek anytime he's here, and I understand he's bringing a friend next Sunday to sing with him and play with him. Oh. Say it again.
Muiza Simfukui is his name.
Muiza, we're going to learn his name. And so first, though, Randy's going to share the announcement. So Randy, come on up and do that.
Thank you, Laine. First, I'd like to ask every one of you to take your cell phones out, look at it, and figure out how to silence it. This can be a difficult thing, I know, because we all get important calls, and during the service, God might decide to call you. However, I would like you to send him to voicemail. And also, while you're doing it, check in on social media, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, and let people know that you are here. Registration continues for Reverend Laine's class that starts on January 24th, Living This Philosophy. It is a 3-week Wednesday evening class offered here in person in the sanctuary. Registration is encouraged so that we have enough material for everyone, but drop-ins are welcome as they are all standalone classes. We welcome your prayer requests by using the prayer card in your programs. You can place these in the offering basket and know that the practitioners and Reverend Laine will pray with you every week. And now, Reverend Laine, would you lead us in our unifying experience?
Thank you, Randy. So I'm going to echo what he just said about prayer requests. So in your programs, we hope that you will let us pray with you for whatever is going on in your life, whether that's a prayer of gratitude that things have evolved about something in your life, or a prayer that you'd like for us to pray with you and know something powerful for you. Those can go in the offering baskets. And we do meet every week and do these prayers together as a group, and we love that. So give us something to pray with you about. So speaking of prayer, our unifying experience this morning is the prayer of love that is in your program. So if you'll take that out, it's on the right-hand side on the inside. And this is a prayer that Ernest Holmes wrote of love. And it's going to be on the screen too, so you can read it up there if you don't have a program. So we will read this out loud together. Will you read it with me? I believe that God is love. I believe that love is at the center of everything. Therefore, I accept love as the healing power of life. I permit love to reach out from me to every person I meet. I trust the goodness of love because I believe it is the power of good in the universe. Love opens the way before me and makes it perfect, straight, and glad. Love converts the commonplace into that which is wonderful, converts weakness into strength, fear into faith. I walk in confidence with love, which I feel to be everywhere present, within, around, and through me. In that love, I am safe, secure, and cared for. And so it is. Prayer of love. Ready for reading?
Martin Luther King Jr., during his long work for civil rights, often spoke and often wrote about the struggle for justice. And there was one other thing that he also often spoke about and wrote about. And I want to share that with you as well. There may come a time when it will be possible for you to humiliate your worst enemy or even to defeat him. But in order to love the enemy, you must not do it. The Greek language has another word for love. It's called agape. Agape is more than romantic love. Agape is more than friendship. Agape is understanding, redemptive goodwill for all men. Agape is an overflowing love, a spontaneous love, which seeks nothing in return. And theologians would say that it is the love of God operating in the human heart. When you rise to love on this level, you love all men, not because you like them, not because their ways appeal to you, not because they are worthful to you, but you love all men because God loves them. And you rise to the noble heights of loving the person who does the evil deed while hating the deed the person does. And I think this is what Jesus means when he says, love your enemies. And with that feeling of divine love in mind, I invite you to join me in prayer and let us know this truth. There is one source of all love. Love that creates and love that sustains. Love that expresses in countless ways. Love that is never diminished. That is the divine spirit. That is the divine mind that is back of all things. That is all things. This is the divine love that is you. This is the divine love that is me. That is the love that gives birth to life. That is the love that is waiting for us to allow its expression in all the many, many ways that the human mind and the human heart can conceive. Now, in this moment, I recognize that the divine mind, this creator of all things, is here and within me as it is within each one of you. And in this moment, we are allowing all that is creation to come forth. I know that this love has given birth to this community and to all that are a part of it. For in this moment, we are allowing, in this moment, we are one. It is in Reverend Laine, the words that she will speak. It is in the music that Derek brings to us. And it is in the gathering of every mind and heart in this place. For all of that, I am just so profoundly grateful. So grateful that this divine spirit, this one mind, this creator, shows up in this way, in this time, and in this place. And knowing this truth, I can release this prayer. I can release this knowing into the mind of that creator, knowing that it's good, that its perfect work has been done already, and so it is.
So it is.
There's been a storm brewing inside of me, clouds moving round my heart. Something's changing that I can't see. I'm stuck in what I know is safe, but not where I'm supposed to be. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call of something that I've never felt before. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call asking, what am I here for? 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 There's been a pain pushes till the vision pulls. Feels like my walls have all fallen down. Something's changing that I can't see. I've got this feeling deep inside. When I get there, I will know. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call of something that I've never felt before. I feel the call of something more. Feel the call asking, what am I here for? 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 Wanna make a move right now, though I don't know when or how. But when I trust and know the truth, my heart will point the way. There's more of me to share, so today I do declare I will take that step in faith and let my light shine. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call of something that I've never felt before. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call, it's asking, what am I here for? 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 You're here for something so much more. What am
Drucker's never sounded so good. Don't tell her I said that. I know some of y'all are going to the Karen Drucker retreat in March. Don't tell her. We have our own Karen Drucker. I don't mean to call you Karen, but so we joke. But you know, the song said, "I feel the call of something more. What am I here for?" Could you answer those two questions with your word that you wrote up there? Are you here for your word? Are you here for that thing? Is that what's calling you? If that is what is calling you, what I know is that there are lessons everywhere. Lessons are everywhere. If we are choosing a life aligned with our souls, aligned with spirit, we've got to look at everything we experience as a call for something more, a call to live as we believe. Now, in 2024, we have declared here that this is going to be a year of a grand rising for each one of us. But how do we take what we learn about ourselves as a spiritual being here in this room or wherever you're learning? How do we take that and actually have a grand rising, actually do something differently, actually live differently? Today, I'm going to invite you to live out loud as you rise this year. I invite you to actually live this philosophy. Yes, that's the name of my talk today, and it's also the name of my class, because that's what I want you to do. I want you to be able to live this way. As many moments of the day as you can to live this way. And there are 3 basic things that I want you to live out loud. First, I invite you to live each day, actually live each day, like you know that you are a powerfully creative, infinite being. Like put it on your name tag. I'm a powerfully creative, infinite being, right? I want you to live that way. I want you to truly understand that you make a difference in the world in which you live, wherever you are. There's this infinite spark of the divine, and this power is within you, and it's yours to use. As you move about your day, this spiritual power shows up in those moments of pure love and compassion. This power shows up when you love others as yourself. It shows up when you choose to move peacefully in any situation, regardless of what's going on, knowing that all is well. This power comes through you when you speak words of encouragement in the mirror to yourself, as we discussed, but also to those around you. This light that you live, you bring it into any room you enter, in any situation you enter. That's who I want you to know that you are. You are not small. You are not insignificant. You have a realm of influence. What do I call that? Your hula hoop. You have a realm of influence in which you can make a difference as the spiritual being that you are. So I want you to live as the force of good is flowing through you. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to actually live this philosophy by remembering the truth of oneness. Ernest Holmes only taught a couple of things. He wrote a lot of books, but they all point back to a couple of things. 1, you are a God being, and 2, oneness is the truth. We are all in this together. What this means is that you live knowing that every single person around you, yes, that one that you just thought of, that is a spiritual being as well. A vital part. Each person is a vital cell in the body of humanity. There's no such thing as a big, important person and a little insignificant person. There's a disposable person and a valuable person. No. There's not a good person and a bad person, a worthy person and an unworthy person. We are all one human race. Live as if you know that each one of us is given that same daily dose of spiritual energy. When we open our eyes, we have this spiritual energy in us, and this is our dose. And some people are going to use their energy in ways that you agree with, and there are people that are going to use their energy in ways that you really don't agree with, right? But it isn't yours to judge. The only thing you can do is move closer to energy that feels like you, that resonates with you, and set boundaries and step back from energies that don't resonate with you. Oneness. What we want for ourselves, we want for every other human being. That is oneness. That's the second thing. The third thing I want you to live is knowing knowing without a doubt that you have the power to change the quality of your experiences, and the quality of life rises when you know that. You're contributing to the betterment of others. When you're doing that, your life is going to rise. If there's something that's dissatisfactory about an aspect of your life, you have a call of something more, like he's saying, you can shift things on the human level. You can rearrange the chairs on the Titanic if you want to, but you have more power when you change within, when you change inside, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. When you shift in there, this just rearranges itself, right? When you change things inside your head and your heart, the things you experience on the physical plane changes too. Now, is there a big poof of magic, like a magic wand, poof, everything changes? No, not very often. It can happen, but not often. Choice and change happens one day at a time, one choice at a time, one belief at a time, one reaction at a time, one intention at a time, one conversation at a time. Bottom line, one day at a time. Things change and shift. Anything is possible. But first, you must believe it is yours to shift, and you feel worthy of that change. What is the words? I deserve better. When you say that to yourself, you can shift and change things. So basically, those are the three big things I want you to live. Not a big assignment. Three things. First, that you're a soul with a connection to the divine always. It can never, ever, ever be disconnected. 2, second, that you are one with everything and everyone else. And 3, that you are creative and you have the power to change your life and the circumstances around you. I wish my mama had taught me those 3 things when I was wee, right? Right? But now it's not too late to learn them now. We still need to learn them. So every lesson I teach basically is affirming and illustrating these 3 points constantly. Every spiritual principle points back to these 3 things. And I'm basically someone who stands here and points and saying, look, there's a light over here. Go over here. Try this, try that, right? These are the 3 things that are the big truth to move towards. So tomorrow is the day where we as a country honor one of our most powerful and transformative spiritual teachers of contemporary history, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, I have an interesting relationship with this man, in that I lived for 31 years in his city, right? I lived in Atlanta. I have eaten at the same restaurants where he met with his leaders and ate and planned things. I have sat on a pew in Ebenezer Baptist Church where he was the minister and that was his home church. I have been in spaces with Coretta and his children on more than one occasion over the 30 years that I lived there. The MLK Center and that museum that's really close to downtown Atlanta is a powerful, powerful history lesson. I have stood at his grave in silent honoring of his memory. I've stood at the Lincoln Memorial. I've done a civil rights march with thousands and thousands of other people in my late 20s. In many ways, the teachings of Dr. King have been so formative in my life, my choices, my perspectives, and I have sought his teachings out. Matter of fact, I traveled to Memphis to the Lorraine Motel so I could see where he died, and I stood there in that hotel and tried to learn what is it that is his teaching for me personally. And I believe that Dr. King had a grand rising every day of his life, and I honor him as a teacher and a transformational figure for all of us. And I want to look back at our 3 concepts and let's see if Dr. King lived them by his example. The first, that we are spiritual beings connected to God. Now, Dr. King's work was built on a foundation of his belief in the power of God, in the power of good over injustice, in the power of light and love over darkness and hate. Now, he was a Baptist Christian faith leader. He prayed. He connected to Spirit throughout his life. He shared the principles of living in relationship with God and the power of all life. Now, his walk of faith may be theologically different than mine, but I deeply respect that he lived from that place inside himself that was centered in the God of good. The quote I have for that is, "The God that we worship is not a weak God. He is not an incompetent God, and consequently, he is able to beat back gigantic mountains of opposition and to bring low, prodigious hilltops of evil. The ringing cry of faith is that our God is able. He lived that first principle. The second point was oneness, right? I asked you to live in knowing oneness. Dr. King's main point in his life was that of unity and justice and equality. His work was to show the way to a world where no humans hurt each other, right? Where everyone was loved and valued equally. He even spoke of this directly when he said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. What better quote about oneness could I ask for, right? And then the third point is that we have the power in our lives to change our circumstances in creative ways. Dr. King inspired millions of people, if not more than millions, billions of people probably, to change their thinking, change their lives. He empowered others to make a difference and use their life energy as a force for good. He wanted the whole world to change their thinking, and he held faith that that change would come. He wrote this: faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase, meaning you have the power to take that first step, even if you don't know where it's going, head towards good. So Dr. King was a spiritual leader who challenged governmentally established bias, right? Dr. King took a stand for love of all people, regardless of any dividing factor that we humans can manufacture. He said, no, we are all worthy. We're all worthy. And Dr. King was murdered for his radical call for change. You know who he sounds like? A little bit like Jesus, right? I'm not saying he was Jesus. I'm saying he was a transformational spiritual leader that wanted change on every level of life. How inspiring. He was a great example, not a great exception, just as we speak of Jesus being that. So I know this isn't the first time you've heard of Dr. King and all of that. This is not the first invitation you've received to live out loud the principles of love and unity. But how do we make this time different, right? Can you think of your word for the year? Look at your word for the year. If you don't have one, think of one that you want to anchor in your life for this year. Your intention or your goal for this year. Can you see an example of those words in Dr. King's life? I can. I was looking. I don't think there's one of them up there that he did not emulate. Did he ever teach about your word? Maybe this is your Google assignment for tomorrow. Google, what did Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. say about my word? Expansion, love, grit, contentment, confidence, whatever your word is up there. How did he live that word out loud? So now I want to share a story that I'm very familiar with about someone who had a grand rising moment that illustrates that connectedness of all things in your life. We know that our life is all connected, and it relates to our honoring of Dr. King today and tomorrow. So, as most of you know, I have a daughter who I co-parented with my partner almost 30 years ago now. Her name was Sue-Ann, right? And I met Sue-Ann when she and I were in our 20s, our late 20s, and she worked for Ted Turner at Turner Broadcasting. And she had this professional relationship with the executives on the executive floor up there with Ted because she was creating presentations and visual things. That was what she did. And one of the things that bonded us, besides the fact that we both wanted a child, back when gay people just didn't do that on a regular basis, and one of the things that we had in common was a deep desire to see equality and justice deepen in our lifetimes. We both wanted to see the world change. For us as gay people, yes, but also we wanted the world to change for all disenfranchised people. That was just something that we both, we met with that common ground already in place. And both of us had been active, socially active in the years leading up to our meeting. And together we worked to kind of move the needle on gay rights, especially parental gay rights and things that were important to us. And there was this early story that she told me that I want to share with you today. And she wrote about this experience on Facebook In 2020, so 4 years ago, on the day before MLK Day, so this day, 4 years ago, she wrote this post. And I'm going to read the post because she tells her own story the best, right? And I share it with her permission. I chatted with her on text this week to let her know I was going to tell this story. And I know she's still interested in every single person having a grand rising, so she is loving that I'm sharing her story. So this is what she wrote. In 1991, I was a little over a year into my decade-plus career at Turner Broadcasting when our vice president's assistant rushed into my office and said, "Are you the Sue Ann Gresham from Rome, Georgia?" I said, "Yes, I am, unless you're mad at me, and then I'm not." And she laughed, grabbed my arm, and she said, "Come with me." And she excitedly took me up to the 14th executive floor and to this large reception area and said, "Wait here." So I waited and I stared in confusion at the artwork on the walls when she whooshed back in, grabbed my hand, and led me into an executive office. Standing in front of me was a petite woman with a tall, tight bun on her head, and she burst into tears and threw her arms around me when I walked into her office. Her hug felt like my grandmother's, and I breathed in the very genuine joy and care in her embrace despite my confusion. She pulled back from me and she said, "I am Zernona Clayton," and the puzzle pieces fell into place. In 1987, when I was a senior at Berry College, there was a racist incident in which a prominent media executive had been invited to speak to the Rome Business and Professional Women's Club, but they disinvited her when they found out she had darker skin. I was livid, and I was extremely vocal about it. I was especially angry because my hometown of Rome tried to pretend that they weren't racist, but I grew up there. I knew better. And I was a young student of the actual teachings of Jesus, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and Mother Teresa. So I wrote a very impassioned letter to the editor of the Rome News Tribune, maligning the undercurrent of racism in Rome that precipitated this very public and despicable racism. I also wrote about how quickly I wanted to leave Rome when I graduated because of the overt and covert discrimination in my small-minded southern town. Zernona Clayton was that media executive who was disinvited to speak simply because of the color of her skin. She put her hand on my shoulder and invited me to sit with her as she told me how much my letter to the editor meant to her and how often she referred to it in her speaking engagements. I joined her in tears. Then she told me about her new book, I've Been Marching All the Time. In it, she detailed how she worked with Dr. King and was often the person who was not supposed to get arrested during the many important marches and gatherings so that she could help them get out of jail when they were arrested. She also showed me on page 209 where she wrote about and quoted my letter, and she asked me to join her at her press conference to announce her new book. In those moments, she empowered this young activist to use my voice to fight discrimination of all kinds for the rest of my life. In those moments, this little woman, with the presence of a giant and the hug of a grandmother, gave me permission to be me, no matter what. I went to her press conference and book signing, and she introduced me and told the story. And she always hugged me every time she saw me. She became a touchstone of hope and encouragement for me. I could see the light and love that Dr. King spoke of in her eyes. Then, in 1993, she asked me to join her on a stage to speak about my vision of Dr. King's legacy at Turner Broadcasting's annual Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. I spoke about activism, fighting discrimination wherever it is found, and I told how I feel the spirit of Dr. King with me on my journey. She smiled with pride as I came out and spoke of joining hundreds of thousands expected at the March on Washington for Gay Rights that year, and the audience stood and applauded. Over the course of the next 2 decades, I raised my daughter and my business with the same principles of being true to yourself, being love and light, and standing up to the hate and darkness of discrimination. Today, I work almost exclusively for exceptional nonprofits who are dedicated to taking care of others in our only home. I stand tall and strong against hate, discrimination, and anti-diversity wherever I encounter it. I march. I reach out to legislators to demand their actual service to the public. I continue to write letters to the editor, and for years, every email I send shares a Dr. King quote. My current email signature contains this wisdom: Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? There are those of us on the front lines using our prominence and voice to lead others, possibly get arrested, potentially put in harm's way, and certainly giving needed change the celebrity it deserves and demands. There are also those of us who are steadily and daily being the change and making the climb to the mountaintop and becoming better humans with every step. Like Zernona Clayton, there are millions of us who are marching all the time. The line is long, wide, and growing. I am proud to be marching with them and in the footsteps of Dr. King. It is an honor to be alive at this time and in the light of his legacy. So for this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, make note of the ways that your voice and your activism can catalyze change and help others do the same. And in honor of Dr. King, keep marching. Thank you, Sue Ann, for actively living your spiritual truth in this story. And what I love about this example is that she did this thing. She did the thing that she knew she could do. She expressed her very unpopular but strongly held convictions, and she wrote that letter to the editor calling out the injustice and asking for change. It was inside her hula hoop to do. She wrote, she marched, she voted, but most importantly, she lived her principles. She made business decisions and parenting decisions that reflected her personal truth. And I witnessed so much of it over the years. And you know how I say that all things are connected and there are no coincidences, right? And the universe conspires on our behalf. Remember I say that? And y'all just roll your eyes. Yeah, right? But I believe Spirit orchestrated all those details that had to fall into place for Sue Ann to meet Zernona. But that executive assistant had to have read her name in the book, remembered there was a Sue Ann Gresham downstairs, it all had to all fit into place for her to actually stand beside Zernona on a stage and have her voice be able to be heard, her message, her own personal message be heard. And I met Zernona with Sue Ann, several of those things that she referenced, I was in her life. And I also met her again many years later. We had Zernona Clayton come to the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta and speak. And her voice, her message is always the same. Stand up for what you believe is right and use your life for good and keep marching. That's what she says. So my message for you today is to live this philosophy in your choices. Remember that you are a child of God with a birthright of every good thing. Remember that you are connected to everyone around you and they are spirit informed too. And remember that you have the power to change your thinking and change your life. And in the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr., let us embrace each day as an opportunity to live with purpose, with compassion, and unwavering commitment to our values. Live your values and our spiritual birthright. Dr. King's legacy calls upon us to transcend the boundaries of prejudice, to champion equality, and to stand firmly against injustice. And in pursuit of a better world, let's draw inspiration from his tireless dedication to the dream of unity and harmony. As we navigate the tapestry of our lives, I hope that we're guided by these spiritual principles of love and understanding and empathy, remembering that each action has the power to shape the future for all humankind. And may we, in honor of the legacy of Dr. King, strive to create a world where the content of one's character is the reflection of truth in each person, and where the flame of justice burns brightly in every heart. Let us have a grand rising and live our spiritual truth, live this philosophy every single day. Will you join me in prayer? Here is what I know. What I know is that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Jesus, for that matter, are spiritual beings having a positive impact on all of us. I know that the spirit that is in them and their expression in life is also the spirit in me. It is also the spirit in each one hearing my voice today. And I know for each one of us a grand rising into a greater expression of our values as we live our lives every day. I know that what we seek in our Whitestone words or in our goals this year, those things are seeking us. They are seeking opportunities to be expressed. And we are guided into all of those situations with ease and grace. I am so thankful for this opportunity to speak today, to share this truth with all of those hearing my words. I'm so grateful, and I let it go and let it be. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sometimes there's a passion. Sometimes there's a passion. So I really appreciate that you are here with us this morning. And before we say farewell to our online folks, I invite all of us, those online and here in the room, into a time of generosity and appreciation for this center, for the Center for Spiritual Living. So whether you're texting or you're using the little QR code or electronic giving, or you're doing it the old-fashioned way with the offering baskets that Randy's going to pass, would just join me in our conscious giving affirmation so that we can collectively bless the offering. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive abundantly. And so it is. Let's sing, I am so blessed.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful.